I was looking at us on the YouTube live stream. So sorry about that. But yeah, go ahead and
Right.
launch us. Launch us officially.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter, the post-apocalyptic sci-fi comic that's based on this character right here, Turbo. And we are fastly approaching the finishing of our Doom Magazine's #1 anthology, which is going to contain the next 6 pages. I have a question. It'll be a little more money, but what if we reprinted all 18 pages in the anthology?
I'm
And
up for
then
that. I'm up for that. I'm very much up for that. I might have even made that suggestion a couple of months ago, but who knows? I'm just a silly anchor.
Well, it doesn't matter who gets the credit. The important thing is that it gets done,
So Megatrip has commented in quotes, fastly approaching.
I don't know about fastly, but
well, you just said fastly. You said we're fastly approaching. I had the same thought that day.
Well, we are. We are. It's going to be
define fastly.
It's gonna be a couple of weeks. Only
couple
a couple of weeks, I think.
All right.
All
right.
I mean, you want to say a couple of months? Maybe.
Jake. The hardest part about this is we're only here for 3 hours every Sunday. We can make as many, and I think this is probably the #1 lesson we could give people in wanting to be creative, comic books specifically, of course, because we're making a comic. But it's like all of us have these grand ideas, and the ideas can get grander, but you only have so much time. Just time, not money, not skills, not resources, just time. And I think there needs to be, I'm finding more and more respect for it, time. So when something like fastly approaches, oh shit, look at that, rip that right up. Got to do a triage here. But I can safely say that Doom Magazine #1 will be ready for IC3 in September.
And that's what we mean by fastly.
Good recovery, Jake. Good recovery.
Yeah. So time is the key factor in all of this stuff. But a lot of times people are going to be watching this, far off into the future anyway. So time will be meaningless. They'll just be listening to what we're doing and going backwards.
Yeah. And what was the big idea? What was the big idea? Why couldn't you just get it done sooner? It was Jake's. It was Jake's lettering process. That's what slowed us down.
Yeah, you could say that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying future viewer will be saying that.
Right. Well, so we have frittered away a lot of time in our lettering process.
No, we haven't. I still think we're going to go down.
Yeah,
we're going to go down in history as the greatest web resource for how to not letter a comic book.
Wow, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
But ultimately, through all of the trials and tribulations, we do it the right way, our way,
and we're gonna guide Santa's sleigh. All right, so now I can see. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I placed the final art or the final-ish art above what I had before, and I'm just gonna try and match it. I might stretch it. This was a tough page. This was a tableau, and we told Alex to put like all these different types of people on the page, and with a superimposed Duke and De Huberton guy. This guy's name is Heresford Duke De Huberton, and he's a bad man. But I think I'm moving the wrong layer. Oh no, I'm moving the right layer. Okay. And just getting everything in place. So, what was your week like of comic life?
Quite a we have quite, I am almost finished Booty Royale. I'm literally one chapter away. So then I'll be heading to Berserk. So next week I'm going to give a review on Booty Royale, which at this time is going to be primarily a positive. I just don't know if I'm going to get volume 2, or this is 1 and 2. It'd be 3 and 4. I don't know if you
I
saw.
got my hands.
Yeah, go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I went back to the Barnes and Noble because I told my students they had 50% off manga, and this one girl was like in tears, and she came to me at the end of the day with a list of manga, and she was like, "Can you please get these for me?" Because I told her they had a ton of manga, 50% off. And so I go to the Barnes and Noble, and they had like three of the things on her list, and I noticed Berserk was there, so I bought the Berserk. Then I brought it back to school, and Berserk was shrink wrapped, so I never even got to open it. This boy said, "Oh, let me buy that off you. How much is it?" I was like $7.50 because it was half price. So he was like, "All right, bet. Let me give you the money tomorrow." And so he came back to the next day, first thing, and he bought it off me. And then when he opened it, I finally got to look inside, and it's really a different kind of art. It's really something.
It's badass. It's really badass. So, but the other big. God, where did I put everything? Oh shit! I'm losing my. Oh, here it is over here. So I don't know.
There, pal?
Yeah. So friend of the channel, Ralph. His YouTube channel is Angels of the Renaissance. This is volume 1 of his. I always just call him Amera Manga, Ralph Nixon Jr. And he was so kind to send volume 1 for the Indie Exchange, which he'll probably be one of the first guests that we have once we clear the Duke pages. But I don't know if you saw on his channel, Jake, but he did some card art for Turbo and spent like 15-20 minutes just talking about. Now here's the pencils for a second one, but just absolutely.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh my gosh! So you gotta, if you're not watching Angels of the Renaissance YouTube channel, you're really missing out on an amazing independent comic book artist, and his journey too, I might add, which is very, very compelling. His art, I was attracted to his channel about a year and a half ago, just from the inking part of his work. But just an absolute kind guy to go ahead and give us a huge shout out, talk about our particular project and everything. But I want us to be able to do something in return. So, that'll come down. It's not going to get added to our list for a little while. But I think for the shared support of each other in the indie community, this is just really, really amazing. So I know I want to try, and we're going to get this into the Doom Mags a little spot illustration there and some credit for there. But he's finishing. He's finishing. Just so everybody knows, volume 3. I don't particularly know what Ralph's printing process is particular. He has made some indications of how he goes about it. Doesn't talk a lot about it, but this is from his second print run, which could have been like, I don't know, 50 copies or something. Who knows? But it looks like 2026 is going to be a huge year for Ralph, so we're going to be throwing him a lot of support. And then the other comic book news I have is last night or yesterday, friend of the channel, Travis, we were chatting back and forth, and he mentioned Wham Blam, the Roy Lichtenstein appropriation documentary. I watched that last night on YouTube with ads. A little annoying to the end, but absolutely, Jake, a must watch, because you and I have talked about Roy Lichtenstein and have argued the finer points of, commercial contract work for hire work and versus pop art. Really well done, all the way up to the point they had an attorney on there who gave his perspective between the two warring fractions, if you will. But an amazing documentary. So thank you, Travis, for giving me that heads up to check that out.
I gotta watch that. Was there litigation over the years?
I don't want to ruin anything for you, because I do want us to continue the conversation, because we're not on the same page. Like we're in a bit of a I don't know, a dispute about it and everything. But there's one little segment. Yeah, there's one little segment that answers your question. And when you get to that segment, you'll go, "Oh wow, that answers my question."
Well, that's a yes, because you didn't say no. So yeah, it's really interesting, especially in the age of AI. But this question was kind of developed years ago. Andy Warhol made millions, hundreds of millions, or his art sold for hundreds of millions by appropriating the design of the Campbell soup can. But at the same time, Campbell's paid some designer to design the can. And, Campbell's loves the whole Andy Warhol thing. They've used it to their advantage many times in many ways over the years. So, it's one of those things where, like, you love graffiti unless Banksy, does a piece on your back door, and then you could remove it off the hinges and sell it for $100,000. Then you're not so angry about the vandals, putting art on your property overnight, But these are some of the real interesting questions that good art brings up. Household names like Warhol and Lichtenstein. Maybe someone's just hoping and waiting for Warhol to use their image or use their stuff because it helps them. But what happens if a nobody does it, and it just ticks you off? So it's two different things, and it kind of goes back to the Napster debate of whether it helps or hurts these little mid-tier bands to have all your stuff given away for free on Napster. Metallica hated it, but a band like mine was like, hey, my music's getting around, and then it's word of mouth, and then ironically, years later, when Metallica didn't have the sales that they once had, they released their latest album for free, for like a 10-day window or something, so you can do it on your own terms. I totally understand that, but Napster was a huge lawsuit and fines and put them out of business. And I think they're still trying to chase people around for money, but they're never going to get it, stuff like that. So, onwards and upwards. But, appropriation of art is it's going to be updated every once in a while, and they have to update it for the new tools, the new digital tools, because some of the AI platforms are, um, they're like, sorry, we can't make you a caricature of your congressman, with his pants down, because you want to ridicule him on Facebook. We can't do a likeness of a person. But then, meanwhile, if you upload a photo, then you kind of can, because the computer might not even know it's somebody. So, it's all like, a lot of it is honor system, and there's a total black market. And you know what I was thinking? I'm wondering if Matt is still listening. You know what I was thinking? Because I was talking with some of my students about these VR goggles, and some of them actually have them at home now, the VR games. And the technology is pretty amazing. You put on this headset, and you're in these VR spaces playing games and doing all kinds of stuff. They have VR art, and they have, VR programming, and they have these, interfaces where you can use your hands just like Tom Cruise, to move stuff around. But the AR is really different, and that's still up and coming, augmented reality. And they have that on the new iPhone, because I saw an ad. I don't have the new iPhone, but I saw an ad. And if you take if you take the phone and you just point it at something, you can see like dinosaurs behind your friend moving around in real time, like your friend is in Jurassic Park, right? And that's if you put on the dinosaur filter. And they have all kinds of filters like that. So the application that I was talking about was, and I've spoken about this for years, and this idea has been out there. There is a virtual reality game that you can play when you put on the VR headset, and it's called Spray Kings. And in that, you're taking this plastic trigger tool, and you're pretending to spray cans against a wall. And in the headset, you're spraying your heart out, and you're spraying all kinds of designs. But in real life, you're not spraying anything. So that exists now. This Spray Kings has been out for many years. Um, I've never experienced it, but you can see, like, you can find like a YouTube video of somebody demoing it. But I said, well, what happens if you go out to the middle of New York City, and it's not virtual reality, it's augmented reality. And there is a layer of the world called graffiti layer, or something like that, or Spray Kings layer. And you can actually make graffiti on a real wall, but only in the world. And then, for time eternal, anybody that comes by in the real world will come to that geolocation and see the graffiti you made on that real building, but the graffiti is virtual. And so that will be a very cool thing to do. Um, Now, there's something like that with the Pokemon Go game,
Yeah, I was thinking the
where
same
people
thing.
are in the real world and they're looking at little Pokemons, right? So some of these ideas are out there, and I want to know. So there's that idea, right, about walking around in the real world and seeing augmented reality, and then if it has like a memory, the one question. But what I wanted to ask the king is, what do you think about this obvious idea that's got to be out there already in some form, but it's totally underground, totally bootleg, and totally illegal, I think. But you remember when we're all kids and we're looking at the ads in the comics? What's the most titillating ad of all time?
Sea
First,
monkeys.
it wasn't the that was no, that was the biggest ripoff of all time. What is the most titillating ad in the back of the comics from time immemorial? It was not the 12-foot Frankenstein that you can buy for $1.99. It was not the Hypno disc. where you can hypnotize your friend for fun and profit. It was wasn't it? It wasn't it the X-ray glasses, Kurt?
I think so. Yes, they were everywhere. It
And
wasn't
they
there.
show you right. They show you right there, right in the little ad, a little guy gawking at a woman, right?
Hell yeah.
So so here we are now in real life, and we have virtual reality, and we have AI, and we have these real-time filters, and you cannot tell me the technology does not exist for somebody to buy a pair of meta glasses and walk around on the streets and buy this bootleg technology somewhere on the dark web, load it up, and walk around and see people in there all together. This has got to exist somehow, somewhere, right?
I guess so. I guess so. I
I
mean,
mean,
the
you remember those Zoom filters when you could and those TikTok filters on Snapchat, and it turns you into a bunny, or it turns you into, Dastardly Dan, or it turns you into Roblox, or it turns you into whatever. And every time you move, it moves, and it links up, with your wireframe perfectly. So the only thing stopping the X-ray goggles from being a reality is the legality. They passed legislation that you can't do deep fake people, you can't deep fake people without their consent. But there's tons of hackers out there and freakers and and all kinds of people out there. So, and it's probably not that hard to do. So let's see. King Megatrip says X-ray. That's right. He guessed it. Let me see if there's let me see if there's a timestamp. He got there's no timestamp on this. Yes, wasn't there just some controversy with Elon's tech doing just that?
there you
You
go.
see, there was some stuff. No, I don't know about it, but if King, give us a sentence about that, or maybe you can find it online. I'd love to look that up too. So I'm going to I want to blot out the background here on this layer to make room for the text. And I see what you did here. I'm going to go on this background layer. We'll give it a nice feather of like 32. Then we'll see where these values are and bring them up. So yeah, I would love to see the spray can thing, but what about that X-ray goggle technology? Now, just as I say this, there was a there I saw in my stream on Instagram somebody posted this thing about backscatter vans, and I don't know why this is in my stream. I guess because I look at like technology stuff, but a backscatter van is a van that roams around the city or the town or whatever, and it has powerful X-ray technology in it so that they can literally look inside cars and homes and right through walls, and they can see I guess it's like density or it might be thermal or what I mean it's not thermal. Thermal's a different signature, but I guess it's like density, like X-rays show density because they're literally sending X-rays through these items and they're seeing how much resistance there is, right? So there somebody on Instagram is warning folks, they've had these backscatter vans since the 90s, and they can go around and they can see if there's squatters in a vacant building, or they can see if there's like grow lamps inside of a warehouse, growing weed or something, and there's all these different applications, but that has been around for a while. It doesn't give you like the clearest picture of stuff. It looks like an X-ray actually, but but they have been doing this, where they can surveil already. And yeah, my curiosity is about these X-ray glasses, and part of me is like curious what it looks like. I mean, you already can imagine what it looks like, but you're just sitting there on a stoop and you're watching all these people go by. And the funny
Naked.
thing to me, hold on, we have an update. Well, the funny, well, wait till you get to the funny question, but let's update what the king is saying. He's saying maybe it was just deep fake stuff. I'm not sure. Well, yeah, we know about all this deep fake stuff, and apparently they really do try to get these kids into trouble that are doing this in school. This has happened. I know there was a high school in New Jersey where this came up. The girl was deep faked, and so she brought it to the attention of the police and the school, and everybody was like up in arms, and they were all saying how wrong it was. They tried to get the kid in trouble, but I don't think the kid that did that got into too much trouble. And that was like, I want to say like 5 years ago. So imagine the AI today, and you can buy the AI very easily. I know because I downloaded a couple of AI, kind of like manga creation stuff where they have no censors, they have no everything's uncensored, and they're charging people, a nice little premium for the tools, where you can make everything graphically explicit and X-rated and whatever you want, whatever you want, baby, they'll do it for you. But then uploading a real photo, it's a little different, because you have a lot of women, and I guess men too, or trans people, whatever. But you have a lot of women on OnlyFans that are using filters to change their body, right? Like maybe they're a little overweight or something, or maybe they're just like, maybe they're not even willing to get naked in the first place. They just want to use they're willing to use their face, and they're willing to voluntarily make deep fakes of themselves and then sell them or subscribe people to their OnlyFans, and send them out to clients or whatever. Like we used to say like, you were calling these 1-800 numbers, and you were actually talking to a guy, and or you're actually talking to like an old lady, and she has a nice young voice, or you're texting somebody and it's really a guy, and all these kind of scams. But now it's just an AI, and it could be it could not even be a person at all, but it could be a guy in like Indonesia, and you think that you're having this sexy X-rated video call with this lady, and you're like, yeah, that's it, take it off slowly, now get over, turn around, all that kind of stuff. And meanwhile it's just an AI. Yeah, and so those days are here, and I was wondering about the X-ray specs. But my last question is, let's say this product exists and you're able to buy it, not out of the back of a comic, but you have to buy it on the deep web, and or the dark web or the deep web, whatever you call it, and it's illicit and everything, but it works. And so let's say you finally get it in your hand, you have to pay, a premium to get it, right? Like maybe it's like $500 or something. So you get it and you load it into your, goggles. You can get your Meta goggles or your Oculus goggles or whatever. Then you say, all right, that's it, man. I'm going right out to Times Square, or I'm going like, where are all the hottest chicks? You can say, all right, I'm going to go to the East Side, or I'm going to go like down to the Village or whatever. And then you sit down and you turn on the button, and then you got to realize, yeah, sure, there might be some fine looking ladies walking by, so you can get your jollies. But then what about all the other people walking by? Like 75% of the people walking down the street in New York are obese, out of shape, old, wrinkly, crinkly. I mean, so, what happens there? Can't unsee. Is there a button that, that says, no, no, like, only do it for hot chicks, like, I don't know, you gotta tweak that, I think, a little bit,
More than
because
tweak it.
yeah, you might end up seeing something that you know, it's not going to be the experience that you think. So so there's that. But then, there's also this feature where it takes photos. I mean, that's the whole thing about the Meta goggles, the Meta, the Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
Um I have a student and she said her dad got them. And I was like, "Oh, so what are they used for?" And then she goes like, she says, "I don't know, I don't even see it. Like, you're just taking pictures of things. Like, so what? You just say like, take photo, and it takes a photo, and then it sends it to you. I mean, I think that's good if you're like, in real estate or something, or whatever. Like, you could be a graffiti photographer hunting around, but I don't know if those pictures are as good as as a phone or a regular camera. But I'm sure and the other thing is that the battery does not last at all, because you can imagine there's not a lot of battery space if you're just putting on a pair of glasses, that they can't hold that much of a charge, because there's no real battery in there. It's just whatever they can fit in the little side pieces of the glasses or the frame itself. And they might have like different shapes of batteries now to fit in those frames. I know batteries are a lot more flexible than they used to be, but you don't get a lot of battery unless you have like a separate attachment, which means now you need a cord for it, right? And that goes down your arm or something, or your neck. So yeah, we're still in the early days of Meta goggles and virtual reality glasses and stuff, but we're here,
We're here.
on the rudimentary level,
We
and we
have
will update you
arrived.
if we hear anything.
We'll update you.
Seeing
So
Jacob's glasses
you have to
on.
answer your own question now. Let's get back to you answering your own question. Or did you answer your own question when it came to comics, which was the manga half price at Barnes and Nobles, and your kids getting 50% off books from
What
you?
about it?
Do you have
What was
anything
my
else for
question?
this the comics? How was your week in comics segment that you started?
Oh, that question. Yeah, well,
Oh, that
I was
question, sir.
I showed you last week what I got. I didn't get any extra comics. I just bought the Berserk, and I got the big titles because I knew I'll sell them. I got like One Piece, One Punch Man, and Dragon whatever. And
I do have another announcement, and there'll be a lot more talk
Okay.
about this, and that is Adam Lemna. This is Relic Hunter number 1. Number 2 is now live on cosmiclion.com. I just went and bought a bunch of copies because I remember we got these one from Eli Schwab, who's Cosmic Lion, and had him on at the very early stages of our indie creator exchange. And man, so excited to get issue 2 with Adam. I think he said he was like 2 years in the making on this, because he's got a whole, like most of us, got a whole life, job, kids, wife, all that kind of stuff and everything. But this is super, super huge news to see Relic Hunter number 2. I know when we were at IC3 last March, I was able to pick up a little Ashcan zine, which teases the hell out of us about what you're going to see in issue 2. But Relic Hunter, Adam Lemna, at the top of my list, sword and sorcery wise. And one of the coolest elements, which we never discussed, was his crossing between time, using time as a story vehicle for a sword and sorcery story. I am so excited to get the whole thing and sit down and really, really get into it. So get over to cosmiclion.com. Hurry up, get your copies. because
Yes, and
this thing's gonna sell out. We're gonna make sure of that.
yeah, we also have to have an update of our interview for the Cosmic Lion's new editor, right? That's exciting news too.
That is, yep, that's D. Sorkin. How do you say it? Man, I always
Like
have
an
it.
Armenian or something.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's definitely on the list right
You're
now.
better with
I'm.
names than me. So.
Oh my God, really? We're doomed then.
Yeah,
We're doomed as a. If I'm better at names than
we
you,
are,
holy
man. It's only
shit!
going one way.
Ugh. I thought I could count on you for at least one thing, other than writing and penciling a comic
I
book.
remember
But
the D part, yeah, but no, I see her posts. She does some interesting stuff with comics and education too. So
yes,
we had
yes,
a great interview the one time, and that was before she got a gig at Cosmic Lion. So that's exciting.
yes, yeah. We're holding off on our
Right.
interviews right now until Jake and I are very solid on the Duke being, which is really me getting all the pages inked and to Jake. And then what Jake and I have been talking about is maintaining our 3 hour recording time and then allowing people to jump in at, like 11:30 was usually when we started recording. Um, and then we would record that and then we go from there, but we'll basically just have people on with us, so they'll have their own camera, but I will then go afterwards and edit that out as an episode, so whatever the guest is showing off, they don't have to send us copies, so I have control over flipping through the comic and stuff. So we're going to be giving that a shot.
Well,
Probably in February. I
yeah,
would think definitely February.
yeah. I mean, like right now, the way we're both drawing in split screen, there's no reason why we can't have somebody else jump in, especially in the
Yeah,
second hour.
yeah,
And talk about what they're doing, because we do have a lot of creators in the wings that we're trying to schedule, so that's coming. It's all coming.
yep,
um I was also lamenting that because I was doing a Substack last night,
yeah. I saw that,
and
dude. You
a
showed
lot
off a lot of really
I
cool
was doing
shit.
yeah, I was just kind of backed up, but I didn't get into it too much, but I was drawing a little bit, and I was flipping through all my pads. Every once in a while I got to just like take stock of all my stuff and see where I'm
Yeah,
at, and
yeah,
I just scribble a little here, I doodle a little there, and I'm just talking about stuff. But I really wanted to like finish up a couple of pieces, and I think I'm ready to scan the casualties. I just need to finalize what we want to say in this little panel right here. This is because I'll do all the rest on
oh
in
yeah,
color.
yeah,
But Doom Magazines #1, the casualties featuring Esoterra, Hellclaw, and Cremita, and then down here, oh shoot, I'm going out of focus. But down here it says plus Turbo Pit Fighter. Let me see if I can fix that focus. And then here I have this little box that says, no, it doesn't say anything yet, but I'm not sure if I want to say, you know, uh, the home of the Turbo Pit Fighter podcast on YouTube, or if we want to say also in this issue, the Secret Chronicles of the Duke. If we want to say like inside, Ken Landgraf. I mean, there's a couple of different things that we could say, but that's the only thing kind of holding up that cover. And then when I finish when I actually scan it, I have to decide for posterity what the color scheme is of Hellclaw and Esoterra. I already know that Chromita is going to be chrome, right? But what is Esoterra going to be like a dark turquoise and white like I had before, like I experimented with before? Is Hellclaw going to be red and yellow? These are the questions that I have to finalize. because it's time to color it. And I'm thinking of making them both matching so that it looks more like a team unit, right? Number one. And number two, I was thinking of making them red and light blue. I don't know what you think about that.
Red and light blue. Huh. It's a weird. That reminds me of like the Phillies' old uniform, or maybe they still use that same uniform.
Well, the Phillies have kind of like a
I think they're just
magenta,
red.
right? Or burgundy.
Yeah, it's like red and white stripe, red and white stripes. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't follow any
I
of
was
that
thinking
shit.
like a slightly dark red actually, and then a not a sky blue, but like a lighter blue on the way to true blue and sky blue.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That blue better be like
so
really popping.
well, on the red and blue, I was just trying to connect to some primary colors, but decisions, right?
Ah, decisions that gotta be made.
It'll be fun to make
And
some decisions.
I wouldn't make any decisions until we are uh, basically done. Like I wouldn't worry about any of that because I know for a fact anything you write now is just not going to be true 2 months from now. It's too wishful thinking.
You mean for that one
Yeah.
word balloon in the bottom?
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
Yep. Because I mean, we have opened the can of worms between us, which I think we're pretty much in agreement that we're dragging in the first 12 pages. So it's going to be 18 pages of Turbo Pit Fighter. Turbo Pit Fighter. So I mean, that's a huge change. That could be what's there in the balloon. Because we want to say all 18 pages of the 28, that kind of jam.
Well, I have a little panel here, or a little compartment for Turbo already on this side, plus Turbo Pit Fighter. So maybe it'll make this entire cover make a lot less sense, because we're plugging a 6-pager in a comic that has 18 pages of Turbo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, you got to think about that too. Maybe make that a variant cover or something. Maybe like a little less common. Yeah,
that could be fun.
But I don't know. I usually, yeah. So
we have to talk. Oh, crud! I gotta. Here, let me. I gotta get something, and then I'm gonna interrupt you. So go ahead and. I gotta root around behind me. So, sorry.
So I want to say hi to Saboteur. Good morning, Saboteur. King Megatrip said that Jake has spent too much time thinking about the X-ray goggles. Actually, I all this just occurs to me right now. I was just putting this together now, but I was talking to a student about the actual goggles, and how they work or don't work, what they're for, and I'm sure it's coming. I mean, there's nothing will ever stop, technology from advancing in the most devious ways. Unfortunately, laws or no laws, and we're basically on the honor system.
There are no laws. That's my.
We're already on the honor system now. For all this kind of stuff, the posting of stuff, it's just on the honor system. I mean, you could get a letter from a lawyer or something, and then you have to take it down. But how many people can't afford a lawyer or don't have the wherewithal? So we're basically on the honor system.
All right, I found what I was.
Hi, this is my daughter. So what'd you say, Kurt?
I did find what I was looking for. Our good friend
Okay.
Alex Turbin has a Kickstarter for his Morgrim. Let me just bring up
The
the
Cyclops.
Kickstarter. The Cyclops, the Savage Sword and Sorcery Cyclops. Now he's got 17 days to go, so I definitely want to try to get him on at least the week before, the days before it all goes. It goes. It comes. It's completed. He has already met his goal, but you got to go over there.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, he has made an absolutely insane um, what do they call it? The bonus, like the stretch goal or sketch, whatever it is
Oh
called.
yeah.
Like if he hits
Sketch goal.
$500, everybody's going to get a resin cast bust of Morgrim. So he's $99 away
What?
from that, and 24 people. So yeah, our buddy, our good friend, Alex
What do you
Turbin.
mean everybody?
Everybody
You mean
who pledges, everybody who pledges to see this
but you're
this
just
bad.
pledging? Well,
Huh?
what's the opening pledge? It's just to buy a comic,
Yeah, it's just a comic. Yeah, but he
and then he's
had
gonna give
pages
you
for
a resin
sale.
pack.
Not yet. He has to hit
Isn't
that
that worth
500. He
a
has
lot
to hit
more
that
than the
500.
comic?
So
Right.
yeah.
So it
So
sounds like
yeah.
that's worth a lot more than the comic. How's he? How do the finances on that work?
I don't know. I'm not Alex. I just know Alex has a huge amount of passion for not only what he does, but what he's a part of when it comes to indie comics. And
Alex,
we're
if
gonna
you're
keep.
listening, come on next week, and
All
we'll
right,
we'll talk.
yeah. I'll reach out. I'm sure he'll hear in replay on this. We'll definitely get him on and show off the bust and talk about things. So great support. Just I just yeah, and I'm working on his pages right now. So he did the pages, the pencil primary inking for the Duke story, and I'm loving doing this. But yeah, we're definitely going to get him on next week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean we're all working on his 11 pager now, and it's coming together. So for folks, maybe we should do a catch up. But for folks that don't know the story of the Duke, he is a character in the world, the timeline, who was a pro wrestler at one point. And we're kind of going through his backstory here, and we don't really talk about the pro wrestling part yet. But we'll be doing flashbacks as we continue this story in the future. Depending on Alex and his availability. But the Duke is a character who will take it upon himself to hunt down and assassinate the Dehubertons right in their lair. And he's also one of the richest people in the world, rivaling only the Dehuberton family, because he had his own digital coin called the Duke coin, which became one of the most adopted currencies of the future. And the reason why was because he was imprisoned for doing something wonderful for all the people. He was imprisoned because when he was the governor of, I think we're making it Minnesota instead of Michigan, but he'll be the governor of a Midwest state, let's say, and Minnesota, let's say. And then when he was the governor, he set it up so that everybody that was playing the lottery was actually the money was not actually going towards a lottery, and he was just announcing fake winners, and he was investing the money on behalf of all the people under their names and creating savings accounts at massive interest rates that only grow and grow and grow, so that 20 years later you have thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars in your name, held in a special account by the state of Minnesota. And the Duke goes to jail for that. But it makes him a popular folk hero so much that he launches his own coin, his own digital coin from prison, and everybody buys it because everybody in the entire resistance wants to support him at that point, and they make his coin popular. And that's a lot of people. That's like half the population is buying your coin. So it ends up making him really, really rich. And we talk. And so then what does he do with all the money? Well, he buys weapons, and he buys, he builds this giant mecha, and then he will attack the D. Huberton headquarters with it. But that's what everybody will think. What he's really doing at the same time is personally infiltrating their underground bunker and assassinating a lot of their patriarchs. And Alex decided to do that part of the story. So we have a little bit of the assassination, and we talk a little bit about the, flashbacks, about his early history. And we worked that all out on the air, right here on the air, right when we were kind of developing what we were going to talk about.
Yep.
So, so that's the 11 pager, and Kurt's doing the inks. I'm doing the lettering. Alex did the pencils and light inks, and then Kurt took over. So I'm just finalizing page 3 now. I think I need to add a couple of more word balloons, and then I have to do this whole newspaper here.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom. Yeah. Okay. A world of slavery, death, and blackmail. Living under life plan means economic slavery for workers. It means rampant child abduction, generations of mass trauma. It means forced impregnation, infanticide, and eugenics. And law officers, once proud soldiers, cops, and emergency responders, all forced into a corporate loyalty pledge. A world of elder abuse and systemic pay to live, aka longevity blackmail. Scientists imprisoned in labs, forced to pervert nature, commit all manner of atrocities. Do I have a ... No, I need a ...
This is all going on the newspaper? This is all going on the newspaper?
No, the newspaper is going to say
this newspaper here.
No, whatever was on the newspaper is going to go on the newspaper, just in a different type style. That's one thing I don't like in comics is when they have a newspaper and they use like a font to make it look like it never looks like a real newspaper. It always just looks like they're typing something on Word, on Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
We want to shout out to Power Pulp Comics, since we have King Megatrip in the chat today. Folks, if you haven't seen our episodes on Power Pulp Comics, we do all we can to plug those people. I was going to say those guys, those people, because they've created a wonderful community of, or maybe like even a collaborative of comic creators that all have really good products, really good comic offerings, and they're sharing. The quick version is they're sharing resources, and they're sharing costs and stuff, so that if you're buying one comic out of their catalog or one product out of their catalog, you can go ahead and get anything else for no additional shipping or very little additional shipping. It's just the weight, the additional weight. It's not the, you pay less postage. So it's a win-win for the buyer to be able to, to double up. And, I think of that whenever I buy something on eBay. It's like, all right, what else do they have? Let me, since I'm already getting a shipment, if they combine shipping, you save a lot of money on the second item or the third item. And they just have so much great stuff there. You guys should all go check out Power Pulp Comics and on all the social media and get all their updates. And if you're a creator, if you're a good creator, I should say, go submit your stuff. They are, curated, and it's, kind of like, they call it weird comics, but, they definitely have an eye for quality, I think, in the indie space. So, go look up Power Pulp Comics, Power Pulp Comics, Power Pulp Comics.
Power Pulp Comics.
Yes, and so the next thing to discuss, Kurt, is, are you ready? I have to give you an update because I've been reading the Crumb biography.
Ooh.
And I read a little bit of it over the holiday break. And last night was Friday, so I read a little bit. Last night was Saturday, actually, but Friday night I read a little bit of it. What a fascinating book, especially if you're a fan of Robert Crumb. It's the whole story, the whole life story, the authorized biography. He sat down with a biographer, and the biographer is really thorough. And he went back to all kinds of like letters and things that were published and timeline stuff. And it tells the story of Robert Crumb, how he came to be like that. It's an amazing read. It does have some art in there. It kind of makes you mad that it doesn't have a little more art in there, But I'm up to 1968 now, and 1968 just goes on for chapters and chapters because that's when things really started to take off. But when we talk about artist collaboratives, wait, why didn't you tell me that? I wasn't showing the screen. My camera was facing down all this whole time. When you talk about artist collaboratives, Crumb started to really, really take off after Zap came out, but he was doing all this stuff that was getting him noticed along the way. And he was publishing his cartoons in Cavalier magazine, the East Village Other, which was kind of like a competitor of the Village Voice. But remember, these are the early days of all these magazines. And he was taught, he was actually pretty early on spotted by a publisher by the name of Cole, who worked for Viking Books and made a deal with Viking Books very early on. So it was only a little while after Zap #1 came out. And by the way, Zap #1 was all Robert Crumb. It was only a little while that the first Viking books comes out of Robert's strips, and it was a little bit toned down, for the underground stuff that was coming out. But you all might remember this. Maybe someone that's listening even has a copy of Head Comics #1 with an X. Because this was put out by a major book publisher. Just went, and here's a picture of it right here. No, well, this is opening eBay, but here's a picture of it here. You've seen this, Kurt, right? Time and time again.
Yep.
Yeah. So this comes out and has Mr. Natural, Fritz the Cat. It is a hardcover, and it also came out in softcover. First edition, first printing was only 10,000 copies. And you can buy it online for like $70, if they're telling the truth, about what it is. Sometimes it says first edition, but it might not necessarily be the first printing. So there you might need to find out what some clues are. But, they talk about Zap Comics, how it came together. It's really interesting. And then by the time he's putting out Zap #2, Robert Crumb had put together an artist collective where all of the artists would own their work. And it was Spain and S. Clay Wilson and Moscoso and Rick Griffin. They explain, there's a page or two on each one of the artists and how, unique they all are and how interesting their own stories are. But I'm up to the part where they're all, contributing towards Zap number 2, and then it comes out pretty quickly because Zap number 1 was just selling like hotcakes, and they very quickly went into a second printing. And the guy with the press was a guy by the name of Plymouth or something, or Plymouth or something like that. But the business end of it was a guy, Don Donahue, Apex Novelties, which was formed in order to make Zap. And they made a couple of other things too, some other anthologies too. And underground comics was just starting to take off, and there was a lot of, we all know some great names in underground comics. But really interesting that they were trying to form these, creator owned, collaboratives, where the deal was, depending how many pages you had published in Zap number 2, was your ownership stake, and um, and they go, and by the way, the front and back covers, or the inside covers, all count as one page. So there was no extra special weighting for for the cover artist, even though a cover is a lot more important, and than the interior, than an average interior page. But that's the way they worked it out. And really interesting story about the 60s, and like peace and love and togetherness, and screw the man and all that. But at the same time, they were just shattering all the norms, and they were trying to make stuff that was like brutally uncensored stuff, especially S. Clay Wilson. He's probably the most like
he was the
intentionally.
figurehead. He was the figurehead because I've seen 100 times in interviews where they ask Robert, how did he arrive at brutally honest, self-deprecating comics? He's like S. Clay Wilson. I mean, he had no filter. That's what he goes. I was just in
Yeah.
awe of the fact that he had no filter, no social filter whatsoever, which was probably like not even any redeemable, social etiquette or
Yeah,
qualities
and he
and
was
stuff
also
like that.
the editor. Yeah, and Wilson was also the editor at the East Village Other,
Yeah.
and where he used to contribute illustrations and comics
He
too.
was probably a
So
very angry hippie. That's how I always think of him
um
as. I've never seen anything on him. Have you ever seen anything on YouTube about S. Clay Wilson? Like a little mini
no,
documentary or
but
some kind of interview somebody, digitally ripped to video or something?
yes, I did. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I
Oh,
think I
yeah?
think I remember seeing some stuff about him. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can easily confuse him and Spain. So he was the one. S. Clay is the one with the checkered demon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spain
So
Spain is Trash
yeah, they
Man.
talk. Right, 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 right. Yeah, because to me they're both like very cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. But yeah, one of them, I think S. Clay was a Marxist, and he's a beer drinker. He's from like Nebraska, like good looking guy. Um, I mean, he needs his own book too.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So,
what I'm saying. Somebody get together.
you
Come
know,
on.
that's what. So they don't go like too much in the Chromebook. But I bought this other book, um, pretty cheap actually. It's called the Zap Interviews, and when I'm done reading the Crumb biography, I'm definitely going to read the Zap Interviews next. So I'll update you on that when I read that too.
Cool. Thank you.
Um yeah, so it's just a crazy world where things come together. And you can make, if anyone's listening to this, you can, there's definitely a force multiplier when you get together with others, and you put your comics with theirs. We talk a lot about the Shonen Jump model in Japan, where there's this comic that comes out every week, and it just gives like a couple of pages of selected creators, right, that are putting out manga, and then they all come out with their finished full product when they have their full comic. But in the meantime, it's all previewed in these anthologies, weeklies, like Shonen Jump. And Like, I'm not lying. Like, how many pages is it in Shonen Jump occurred? It's like literally, it's like 700 pages or something crazy like that, right?
5, 6, 7, yeah, something like that. I never counted because I had always read them. I never bought one, believe it or not. But when I was in Japan, I had to take the train a lot from where I was staying to downtown Hiroshima. And on the subways, or the train, I should say, it's not a subway, it's just an above ground train. There's a rack above us. You could store your briefcase or something, but they were always filled with manga. So every morning and every evening, I would just literally just reach up and grab something and then just start reading. I'd have, because I had, I think, 35, 45 minute each way. And you were just immersed, and it was endless. That is the most awesome part about it in Japan. I mean, it was just comics everywhere all the time, and of any kind of, like,
Right. And
any kind of a theme, a genre, sports, girls, cooking. It's just freaking amazing.
slice of life.
Slice of
Yeah.
life. Yep.
Yeah. And then,
Comedy.
some of it, some of it gets pretty adult, a lot more adult
Yeah.
than US permissiveness. And yeah, and I remember, I haven't been there for more than 20 years, but when I was there, when you're crossing the streets in the popular areas, the garbage cans have a convex tray on the top of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's on purpose, and it's
Yep.
for manga books. So when
It's kind of like a
someone's crossing the
recycling
street
thing.
and they're done, yeah, take one, give one, take one.
Yep.
And they do, and, like, so you could just be crossing the street and get a manga book, and it's not the valuable ones where it has like the full collections. It's just this really thick, cheap newsprint version where they're just doing the latest pages of all these creators. So
All right.
yeah, so I think I need to make some decisions here about moving some of these things around, now that we have the final art, or close to the final art, right?
Yep.
And the gutters. So these gutters are pretty big. I think I'm all right with this. Let me put this in here. That's what I have to work on next. And I'm gonna put the reading in here, and then we'll deal. But I'm gonna probably lighten this up a little bit because newspapers are lighter. Imagine if there's actually print newspapers in like 100 years from now.
200, I think that's what.
They just announced this past week that the Atlanta Journal-Constitution has published its last print paper. They're just going to be online from here on out. So we are crossing threshold every day and every week into getting rid of our print newspapers. They're still going to be around digitally, so it's not as bad as it could be where they go away completely. But it's I think I'm kind of sad about the loss of print, because something you can hold in your hand, and you read with your eyes in an old-fashioned way. There's a lot of meaning to that. I think that's going to be lost on the next generations.
Yeah, but they're gonna have so many other. They already have so many other ways of getting information. I was watching something about just book publishing in general this week, and 2 out of the 3 videos I watch had heavy segments on how important it is to be on, I think they call it Book Talk on TikTok. Like, and that right now,
Right.
7, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 7% of all sales of books is through TikTok. So it's like,
What?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, it's, once again, it's the whole aging out, old man. Oh man, we're gonna miss our newspapers, and it's like, nah.
Not gonna cry for Amazon.
Yeah, so just suck it up, and if you want to get your get your version, in print and figure
But
it
I
out.
am crying for Barnes and Noble, you know. I am crying for Barnes and Noble. Hey, is this you're sending me color, right? Yeah, so should I convert these to grayscale while I'm here?
You can. You can. I don't know if it's going to make that much of a
Okay.
difference in the final ones, but
Well, let's see. Oh, there it was. See before and after.
yeah,
Before,
yeah,
after, before, after.
yeah, it's cool.
I don't know if you can tell very much, but some of your grays were very cool grays.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so there's some areas where it looks like it needs something here, right? Like you have this black background here, and I think this was the panel where I wrote in the script this was like an American Gothic scene of the husband and the wife in front of their factory, and I think the factory is gone. Was there like a factory in the background on the original?
I don't believe so. Let me
I need you to look it up because I need to know what the newspaper says anyway. I don't have
what
it.
page? You're on page 3.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go on. Here, let me go online. There's nothing behind. There's nothing behind the old man. It's just a stripe.
Okay. Yeah, like I had said like we're flashing back, and I said let's make the husband and wife standing next to each other, and he's holding a big wrench instead of the pitchfork, like American Gothic. But I don't know, maybe Alex doesn't know that reference. You know the famous
There you go. No, I
painting,
got you.
right?
Yeah, I got you. So if you got a piece of paper and pencil, or you want to start typing, I can give you the headline.
I can see. I got it here.
Okay, good.
Nano brick patent. I got it. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
good.
cool.
Um,
But there's
let me
nothing
just do
behind it.
nano
That's
brick.
why I put. That's why I
Nano.
put the stripe in there, because it was just a kind of a eye thing, just to give you something to see.
Yeah, I wanted to try to do the American Gothic reference there, but
Well, he's
okay.
not in
Nano
American
fuel brick.
Gothic. He's in front of a house. It's not a factory. You wanted to change
American
to a
Gothic is
factory.
what's that?
You wanted to change it
Yeah,
to
so
a factory instead of a house.
well, I have the art now, so it's too late. We're not going to go back, but
No, I know. I'm just
American Gothic is a
asking.
famous painting. Here's a test for my fellow art instructor, and you seem to be better than me at naming artists by style. So this was 1930. The artist's name is Grant Wood, which I never would have been able to tell anybody. But it shows a man and a woman in front of a house, and he's got a pitchfork. And the lady looks kind of uptight. And so, what was the big deal about this? About this painting? Like, why is this painting so famous? It represented something.
It's right
What's
before
your
abstract. It's right before abstract expressionism. So there was American realism, and Thomas Hart Benton was the sort of the lead of it. As a matter of fact, Jackson Pollock was a student of Thomas Hart Benton. Thomas Hart Benton was a socialist muralist, in your most like profitable way. He was, equal to like Diego Rivera and those guys that were all doing these murals and stuff. But he was avidly against abstraction. And then as the abstract movement was going, there is a really good documentary on YouTube about Grant Wood and that specific piece in it. I'm blanking out on the factual reason it blew up. I know it's around that time of like a separation, if you will, in our country, like aesthetic wise. You know what I mean? We're talking like late 40s, I believe. Um,
uh-huh.
but it was bought by a museum, and it was sort of pushed iconographically as a stand against a European abstraction coming into our focus as art. So that's the real layman's
Yeah.
term.
Yeah, and when you talk about like the realism movement, do you also mean is Hopper was part of that, right? Edward Hopper, right?
No, Hopper was a part of what was called the Ashcan movement. The Ashcan movement was like George Bellows and the Boxers. He was a part of that. There was a couple other people. Damn it, forgetting one of my favorites from that. But they were illustrators who also exhibited in galleries, also taught, and summered up in Maine, and really took on sort of a bohemian life, but they wanted to, socially capture life, and it was leaning off of European expressionism. See, at this point, the only thing we have to hold on to is Thomas Eakins and Winslow Homer. And Winslow Homer abandoned the United States early in his career to live in England and Paris. So, I mean, he always referred to himself as an American painter. But, yeah, the next to kind of come up, who also abandoned America, but would be, linked to the development of American art, was John Singer Sargent. So these are all these like very realism based naturalist artists. You know what I mean? As like a, what do you call it? The way we felt about being American. And then so Clement Greenberg, who was a big critic in the art world in New York City, started figuring out how to beat the Europeans by informally, in a lot of ways, bringing together the abstract expressionists, which is Pollock and de Kooning and Franz Klein and the likes, and championing them. And Jackson Pollock was the choice because of two things: not only the art, the way he was painting on the floor and dripping, but he was also a Midwestern cowboy who studied with Mexican muralist Thomas Hart Benton, and then goes to New York seeking work and education, and then Clement Greenberg hooks him up with Peggy Guggenheim, and then after that, after he did the mural for her, he's going to have a show. And for the promotion of that show, he gets the Life magazine spread, and we're off and running. And basically within a year or two, we eclipsed European art. So abstract expressionism solidified us as the greatest form of painting or expression in art in the world.
Okay, and the I guess the meaning of, or the interpretation of, American Gothic, according to the Wikipedia, he entered it originally in a competition in the Art Institute of Chicago. A museum patron persuaded the jury to award the painting the bronze medal and a $300 cash prize. And the image soon began to be reproduced in newspapers, first the Chicago Evening Post, and then in New York, Boston, Kansas City, and Indy. When, however, the image finally appeared in the Cedar Rapids Gazette, there was a backlash. Iowans were furious at their depiction as pinched, grim-faced, puritanical Bible thumpers. Wood, who had done some of his study in Paris, protested, saying he had not painted a caricature of Iowans, but a depiction of his appreciation, stating, "I had to go to France to appreciate Iowa." In a 1941 letter, Wood said, "In general, I have found the people who resent the painting are those who feel that they themselves resemble the portrayal." So
that's his dentist.
The character.
Oh, go ahead.
It's kind of like when when you say like, I hate fascists," and then somebody says, "Hey, why are you calling me names?" It's like, "Oh, do you identify as a fascist?" Right? So, it's I guess there was a little bit of controversy, and maybe that is the Streisand effect that made it bigger than it would have been. Art critics who had favorable opinions about the painting, such as Gertrude Stein and Christopher Morley, assumed the painting was meant to be a satire of rural small town life, and it was seen as a part of a trend towards increasingly critical depictions of rural America. I mean, isn't that painting the basis of a horror movie franchise, American Gothic?
I don't know.
Because the people look so creepy, basically, right?
I guess.
And they look up, yeah. There is a movie. I think I saw it, a horror movie,
Well, it's a television
called
show.
American
I think
Gothic.
wasn't it a television show?
Or was it yeah, there was a series, but that might have had a different name, American Horror Story or something. Or
Ah, yeah, you're
maybe
right. Yeah,
maybe it
you're right.
wasn't American Goth. Yeah, but American Gothic, it was people go into that house, and it's like these puritanical, Bible thumping, nuts, but it turns out to be like, serial murderers and like,
Yes.
Ed Gein type of a house.
Oh God.
Anderson Sue. It's so yeah, that's interesting to learn. However, with the deepening of the Great Depression, not too long after the painting was made, American Gothic came to be seen as a depiction of the steadfast American pioneer spirit.
Yep.
So there was multiple interpretations, and Wood assisted this interpretation by renouncing his bohemian youth in Paris and grouping himself with populist Midwestern painters such as Thomas Hart Benton. So points for Kurt. He was able to talk about this stuff off the top of the dome. And John Stuart Curry, who revolted against the dominance of East Coast art circles. Wood was quoted as saying, "All the good ideas I've ever had came to me while I was milking a cow." Wood intended the painting to depict the farmer and his daughter as survivors. Did you know that was his daughter?
Whose daughter?
That the painting was supposed to be a farmer and his daughter, not a
Yeah.
farmer and his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew that? I thought that was
Yeah.
his wife.
I was gonna say because it's actually
Uh,
the people who posed for the sat for him were his dentist and I think his aunt, something like that.
The figures were modeled after Wood's sister,
Oh,
Nan Wood
sister.
Graham, and Brian McKeeby, the Wood family dentist. So, see, Kurt's getting points for trivia today. Yeah, Wood intended the painting to depict the farmer and his daughter as survivors, to pay homage to the strength of the rural community and provide reassurance in a time of great economic upset. Um, but yeah, I mean the painting, goes on and on. There's later interpretations by art historians that thinks that Wood was not painting a modern couple, but one of the past, pointing to the fact that Wood directed the models to wear old-fashioned clothing, which he found inspiration for by consulting his family photo album. Wood even posed the figures in a way that resembled long exposure photographs of Midwestern families that dated before World War One. So that means early photography when you had to stay still for a long time. Art historian Trip Evans interpreted it in 2010 as an old fashioned mourning portrait. The curtains hanging in the windows, both upstairs and down, are pulled closed in the middle of the day, a mourning custom, Mourning, in Victorian America. The woman wears a black dress beneath her apron and glances away as if holding back tears. One imagines she is grieving for the man beside her. Wood had only been 10 when his father died and later he lived for a decade above a garage reserved for hearses, so death was always probably on his mind. In 2019, Kelly Grovier described the painting as a portrait of Pluto and Proserpina, the Roman gods of the underworld.
Wow.
Guy Davenport made an analysis in a 1978 lecture, The Geography of the Imagination, suggesting the globe on the weather vane at the very top of the planet represents the dwarf planet Pluto. What? So the pitchfork represents the guardians of the gates of hell, and the woman's cameo brooch contains a classic representation of the mythical goddess Proserpina, and the dangling strand of hair by the woman's right ear represents the ravishing in the goddess myth. What the hell? All right, we're getting like, I think a lot of people see a lot of different things in the in it, but you know, needless to say, it's a very famous picture.
Why'd you bring
And
this up?
yeah, I mean, I just
I forget why you brought this up.
because so you see this panel right here.
Oh yeah, yeah,
See
yeah. We're
this
actually
lower
talking about
right.
our comic book.
Right. I don't know why, but when I was making the script, I said, let's show the Duke's parents in front of their air bike factory in an American Gothic style pose where they're standing side by side with overalls. And Alex interpreted that, or maybe he was in a rush, but he just, you know, he just gave me the one guy with the wrench. And I went back to the original. There was no background whatsoever. So we can I can maybe add a little something in, but I do want to show the fact like a factory in the back. So what I might do is just grab these hunks of black here and you know, do something with them.
Silhouette.
But yeah, it's all good. It's gonna come out great. Yeah, no, I might like I don't know if I'm gonna draw something and put it in there. Maybe I can cop something off some line art off the web, but I just want to have like an outline of a hangar, you know, like because they have an air bike factory. And so I was just trying to give the background. It says mom and dad were still in the early days growing the air bike company. And then the headline says nano fuel brick patent powers Dakota fly cycle startup. And then the narration says they had ultra compact Q resin EMAG motors. Me and my brothers were happy to test drive the air bikes on nightly raids. Dot dot dot. So yeah, I got to put something interesting here in the newspaper because there's nothing here. And the easy thing to do there is just to grab an old time newspaper and just put it in there where it's so small you can't really see anything, and it'll have some pictures and whatnot. So I'm gonna have to come back to that, and yeah, I'm gonna come back to this whole page. I'm just gonna hit save for now, and
Okay.
then I'll do. But what I did do was I did the final placement of the word balloons. I think when I'm off the air and I can concentrate more, I think I'm gonna add some like another word balloon right here. Well, you can't, but right here. And I think because this looks a little sparse, I mean, this kind of leads the eye going all around in an interesting way. Um, right. But this little tag right here was supposed to ideally be here where the worker is, right? Like, I don't know if this is close enough to the worker, right? Like, if this was here, it would be better. Or maybe here, right, where it's right above the worker. But I don't want to block anything, right? So I might move this down, but then you have this big gap here, so that's why I put it there. I mean, I just put the balloons where the gaps are because that makes the most sense, but it's not, you know, it's referring to the worker. So maybe maybe that's going to be lost in translation. Um what else? I extended the sky a little bit up here and I moved these down. So I just kind of like made these panels longer. I can do it here even more where I'm going to kind of like clone this kind of stuff. And that's why I sent you those kind of intermediary panels because you can see what it was going to end up being like. But right here, like if I grab this and bring it down, I can make it a double pipe. See, so that works out. And it doesn't matter because most of the stuff is just being blocked by the word balloons anyway. So we just have these little gutters in between the gaps. And I know what people are saying. Like most people would just go with it as it is. Maybe I'm
Not Drake.
overthinking, but that's what I do. Yeah. See this one pipe here. I'm gonna duplicate that, so it's gonna be double pipes. So first thing we'll do is just grab this, and we could also extend this whole thing here. Matter of fact, we could extend this whole thing here by stretching it like from here, and we just do the Command T, boom. So now I just made it maybe like 20% longer right off the bat. And now I'm going to duplicate it so that we're going all the way down to the ground. Down to the ground. So yeah, I was telling Kurt, I think off the air, but we have some updates to some of the writing on hellclaw.com. And last night when I was doing a Substack live, last night I did a quick Instagram live, a reel, and then I went live on Substack after that because I was just doing a total hang last night. And one of your Crom contributors comes on, and he was just in the comments. He told me he was in a noisy cafe, so he couldn't really hear every word I was saying, but he was on for a while, and I looked up his name in the Crom anthology, and I saw his pinup,
Who?
and we were just, it was Ryan, I think. Is his name Ryan?
Ryan Dirks. Ryan Dirks.
Yeah, that sounds it. Yeah, that's it.
I just got his submission for anthology number 2, 10 pages. He's been working on it for months. It's for his Zolak character, Zolak Stonewalker. Freaking amazing. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just got to talk with him, and I was up. I said, I have these 6-page scripts available on hellclaw.com, but some people can't see them because I didn't pay for the upgraded security certificate for the website.
Yep.
But so he goes online and he said he could see them. So he was reading Reen Paw and taking a look at that. But on hellclaw.com/comics, there are some scripts available if anybody's interested. And if you're an artist, you want to get involved in the world, the end of the world timeline that we're building here. And there's also some sci-fi just to read for anybody that comes along. And I update it all the time on hellclaw.com. Now, Kurt and I were posting these installments of sci-fi with some pictures on Substack, but it's been a while since we updated it, so maybe we can go back to that at some point. And it's impossible to say like what parts I updated because it might be a paragraph here, it might be a whole chunk of writing there. I did the sentience, I did the quantum druids, I added entire new pages for Hawkwind, and Little Winters is in development, and all these other characters. But it's just like our sandbox, right? That's what Kurt designed it for. He was like, Jake, just do your writing, don't worry about making a product, right? And so that's what we do, and we just have it. It's nice and convenient to have it in a handy place, all collected there. Whether it's a full story like the story of Baby Esoterra, or whether it's just notes. I talk a lot about the world and the Dehubertons and the economics and the politics and the science there's just so much different stuff there. So that's all part of what we're doing here in this whole end of the world timeline, and so it was great when I had that posted because Alex was able to go over to that page and decide what he wanted to draw. And so he said, I like the part about the Secret Chronicles of the Dude. So I was like, fine. So we made a separate script for him for a 10-pager. He said he wanted to do a 10-pager. And then that grew to 11 because he added an extra page along the way, which is fine. And it's going to print. So that's how things get done around here. But there's definitely much more where that came from the lunacy of all the stuff I'm thinking of on a daily basis, and like I'm just updating Kurt today. I was like, Kurt, did you hear about backscatter vans, man? And Kurt's like, oh boy, what is he on about now? I have on my Doom Mag's Instagram, I've been tagging a lot of different things where it comes to these like inventions that are in our story that I'm seeing are actually here now, right? And I don't know where to find my messages here, I guess. So, suggestions from Jake. When I tag myself, I never followed back to Ryan Dirks. There we go. All right. When I tag myself from my other account, how do I find that? Like there was a post on Instagram and I sent it to Doom Mags. So where do I see that?
Notifications.
Yeah, well that's with the heart and the little heart area, right? It's on the home page up at the top. Stories about you, highlights, you have new suggestions, new follows. It says follow Darren's.cmx, follow AdamDraws.comics, follow Baby Boy Belcher. Those are all suggestions. But where's the one I sent to myself? Follow suggestions, me. Yeah, I don't know where. Do I look at my profile? Do I look at my reels? Do I look at my... Yeah, I'm a little... I know you guys are all saying, okay, boomer, but I'm a little behind the times in Instagram. How do you send something to yourself in Instagram? Because I've been seeing all this robotics stuff and all this automation stuff and this AI stuff and this science stuff. And when I come across it, I just send it to Doom Mags. But now where do I find it?
Send it like as a shared post?
Yeah.
It would be in your post. It would be on your wall, your Doom Mags wall.
Okay, so I go to Doom Mags and my wall. So that means all these little posts here, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing any of them. All these are the only ones that we
go to your messages. Go to your messages.
Okay. So my messages is the heart, right?
No, it's an arrow.
This is mentions, stories about you, suggested for you. That's not where messages are, right?
No, it's
is
down
it
at the
Messenger?
bottom. No, it's down at the bottom. There's a
down here.
I guess, yeah. Oh, there's the... Hey, hold that right there. That's the bust that Alex is gonna give away if he hits 500 people. So
that is so cool.
I know. $500. $500 on his Kickstarter for Morgrim Savage Cyclops. So yeah, we're getting copies. I'm just telling you right now, we're getting copies.
So he's casting this in plaster?
Yeah. I don't know. I think he does resin casting. So, but yeah, down at there should be So I do most of my messages through. So down here, Jake, there's an arrow that should take you to
Wait, I
messages
think
down at the
I
bottom.
found my messages,
Okay, all right. So then you
and
should have
yeah,
a
but
message from. You should have
I
a
can't
message
find
from New York art teacher, right?
art that's not there.
All right. Well, then you did something
No, I
wrong.
don't
I'm
see it.
sorry to say.
Oh, because
I'll
I
be the
have
one.
to approve the message. I got it.
You
I have
found
to
it.
accept my message.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
because you're
and
not a
changing it to
trustworthy.
7.
You're not a trustworthy enough
I'm not
account.
a trustworthy individual. Okay. All right, here we go. Now look at all these. My God, I've been doing this forever. All right, I'm just gonna do the latest one. I won't bog us
Oh
down.
boy.
Um, check this out, Kurt. So this is just one I came across. And this one says Florida schools are now securing their schools with these drones that fly out of a box, and they're
Okay,
operated
I want
from
to
a
stop you.
team in
I want to
Austin.
stop. Let me just stop
Go,
you for 1 second.
go,
I want to preface
go.
this rabbit hole we're going to go down. If I was 14 years old and I saw this on my Instagram account, the next day I went to school. I would go to the principal's office. I would show this to the principal or vice principal and beg them to do it. I'm just telling you, and I'm not making a joke of it. I'm just telling you that is that is straight up sci-fi in your school going on. You got to be kidding me. So I go ahead.
So I've been telling you for a while, there are armed drones that can shoot somebody or that can deliver an explosive. And you're about to see it. Hold on 1 second. It's going to hit a mannequin with an explosive right there. See? And it can shoot a projectile or it can kamikaze you with a charge. So this could be used to take out an active shooter. No doubt about it. The problem is who's in charge of these things and can they be hacked, you know? Because it's a really big deal if that could be hacked, because then the active shooter is in charge of the drone, right? So as long as you can make sure that it can't be
Oh
hacked.
God.
Yes,
Oh God.
it sounds like an amazing new defense mechanism for schools that have an active shooter. Now, some schools have these gates that can come down, and so that you can trap the guy in a particular hallway. But if there's anybody in the hallway with them, they're freaking toast. So, I think it's one of those things where you have to sacrifice the few, for the good of the many type thing.
Oh God.
And there's also possibly like wall mounted remote guns or wall mounted remote gas canisters or wall mounted charges that can be released too, with a turret that's remote controlled. But drones seem smarter because you can move around, like follow all over the school. So this was the kind of example of the thing I was sending myself before I realized, like an old fogey, that you have to accept your own messages from your other account. Uh, Here's something else, and I'm not taking at face value that this and that everything I'm seeing here is real, but I know that a lot of these things are underway because we know about the neural implants with Elon Musk. So this one is talking about electrodes implanted into the neural cortex of birds that control them so that you can send them around left or right and they can fly wherever you tell them to. Now, this gets a little scary at the end because they're talking about, implanting this in birds, but then they're also talking about implanting it in rats and then doing rat swarms of these
God. Oh
neurally linked
God.
things. Right now, this is what Elon is doing in real life. So I know some of this is real. We have the neural implants in humans, some paralyzed humans, and monkeys to be able to control simple things like Pong. But here now we're seeing like these these birds that can be fitted with these Neuralink things, and they can go anywhere. Now they're comparing them to drones. Why is it better to do this with a bird than it is to a drone? Because the reason is because birds can go much farther. They can stop and eat. And here now they're doing a simulation of what it could be like when birds are in a swarm, and they're kind of trained because there's no defense against it, and they could go around very thoroughly, to their targets. And they could do this, here they're showing dolphins and crows, and now we're talking about rats. Look, and then here's like little dragonflies and freaking mosquitoes. But watch when they simulate the rat swarms, because those are ground based, not air based, and rats of course can get into everywhere and everything. So they're showing you that the Neuralink does teach the rats how to get in and out of mazes. So, and this is a little clunky. Obviously, it's going to get smaller now, but these are the early experiments. How they can navigate, air vents, and they can sneak into all kinds of areas. You could just send a rat in to a meeting of officials and blow the whole place up. Right. And if you send in a swarm of rats, there's no way they can get them all. And,
yeah, but it's
they're
just
all
not as
programmed.
it's just not as sexy as sending in a robot geisha girl, and then it's just not. It's not as sexy. Once again, I don't want to diminish any kind of.
Rats are disgusting.
I just don't want to diminish any
But
of your anxieties about it. I don't want to say like, don't worry about it, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I since the whole Venezuela thing, and the extraction with Delta Force, by the way, Delta Force went in there and snatched up Maduro, and it was like the stuff I've been watching on it. It's very hard to disconnect Chuck Norris leading that team in my mind, and the movie and the such and such. But the thing that came up for me, which I think is going to be a very difficult transition in military systems, is mercenaries. So in other words, if you defund paying for military troops, they're going to, with the passion and training they have, seek out work in fill in the blank, elsewhere in the world, right? It's already going on and everything. I still think that we're in a very humanized place. In other words, the things you just showed just feed more of the science fiction aspect of it that somebody could TikTok or do a reels on Instagram or YouTube shorts and stuff. But the real conversation here, I think, really comes down to having human judgment involved at the forefront of the interaction with said scenario.
Yeah, but the human can be remote, though.
That's not the point. Like, the point is way more about people moving quicker than the industry or the industrial militarized complex just trying to make something with a bunch of birds and rats to sell to somebody, to the actual functioning of our country or our humanity, our society, these types of things, and the way we interact with each other on that. So I'm just stating this for my own mental positioning that I've been going on, because I do have something I want to bring up, which is what I forward I sent to you in a text message. I don't know if did you see it, the text message?
Yeah, you sent me an AI movie.
It's not a movie. It's a short film. It's only like 10 and a half minutes. I watched it this morning, which is why I didn't get to doing my homework pre episode today. I've been good at detecting the difference between AI generated and human. And watch this video, this movie. The first thing is that the story itself is horrifying. It's so well written and narrated. I love cosmic horror, especially the space stuff, and it got into my being and really screwed with me. It's called Moon Nuts. No,
No,
is it Moon
tree
Nuts
nuts.
or what? What's it called again?
Isn't it tree nuts?
No,
Tree
here, hold on a
nuts.
second. Hold on a second. I'm going to show everybody. Oh, wood, yeah, wood nuts.
Wood nuts.
Yeah,
Sorry,
wood nuts. And I watched this thing. I'm going to watch it probably a dozen more times tonight, but it is entirely AI generated. And it is nuts because the two things it does is it completely eradicated in me any kind of hope of discerning something um, what do you call it, as being digitally made. I mean, this stuff here we're seeing is obvious. It's totally obvious. This character, I was like, oh, they hired an actor and he's just now being, brought through the movie, and this is like a set and it's all green screen. No, it's not. And I'm not spoiling any of it because I want people to go and check it out because it's a real test. It's a real test of what we've entered into when it comes to dealing with graphic reality image making, like films. But you and I have been talking for months now that this technology that we have access to is only 10% of what it is that exists in the world. And these major corporations and film studios have the fear, and I think it has something to do with the story being narrated. By the time I finished watching it, was so horror driven in two levels, like the story itself, like I said, but also the fact that you have a difficulty in discerning reality. And it's an anxiety that has been building up in me over a couple weeks now. But this is the first time I want to state that I watched an AI driven piece of entertainment, and by the end could not discern it. There was one little aspect, but I can't fact check it because I just can't. But it really concerns me on two levels. The first level being the social level, but I think the more important level is the personal. And my immediate safety mechanism that switched inside me was, well, I'm not going towards the photorealistic movie making. I'm going towards, my style of art, moving in a two-dimensional animation. So that kind of calms me, oh, okay, once I get access to this equipment, these apps and everything, then it'll be okay. But we're in such a sharp nosedive into what reality is making through art, if you will, or entertainment, or just generating and creating stuff, that I want to be a part of that, that pulling up that I have a feeling and I'm working towards, where we start grouping together and utilize the technology, but do it in a way that amplifies our creative sense and self.
I'm going after all that. I'm going to maybe poo-poo a little what you're saying. To me, the whole thing seems AI. I mean, especially when you start off AI, you just assume the rest is AI. Um, and I it lost me after a while because the storytelling, for AI, like sometimes you see on YouTube, they do put together some stories, right? There's like a Conan one that's really interesting, but the AI has to go shot by shot, and there's never any, lengthy scenes like you might see a real movie. It's all shots, that are short and they move on from one thing to the other. The other thing is sometimes the characters change their appearance so they don't look very consistent. And that's a giveaway too. And I encountered that when I was experimenting with AI, trying to take some of my posters and turn them into sequences. As soon as you get the third or fourth shot, it starts changing the face of the character. So, there's a lot to contend with there. This was, definitely a better example of, AI storytelling. And I'm going to imagine there was a human scripting that, but I'm not, 100%, but I
Yeah.
imagine a human, scripted that in the first place. But, I didn't enjoy it. I am one of those people that is anti AI, generally speaking, and I'm put off by it, by AI. So, as much as I would love to see, or to have a tool where I could one day press a couple of buttons and take my comic that I made and then have it do all the work to animate it, yeah, I say we're still not there. And the movie that you showed me was, to me, an example of a decent script, but the all the visuals were AI, off-putting AI, just like everybody says. Like, you know, there's some harsher critics out there than others, but it's slop, or boycott, human only, that kind of stuff. And it remains to be seen. There really hasn't been that I've seen a killer app so far that really bridges the gap between human made and AI made, where people are a lot more accepting. And we've seen all these strikes, the writer strikes and the actor strike, and we people are afraid, and people are, like, I'm sure the person that made this is not a billionaire. I imagine they're just a creative who, got their hands on some better tools, or maybe they're ahead of the curve about learning how to make AI visuals into a movie. But everybody's afraid that it's just gonna hurt, regular people, everyday people, more than it's gonna help. So that was what I wanted to add. And I don't know if I'm reflecting any views out there. Everybody else, you guys are welcome to view it yourself. Go online and look up wood nuts and see it for yourself.
Yeah, definitely
But
want
we
to
do
hear
have,
people's. I definitely want to hear people's take on it. I think the story, and when I say story, the construction of that short is the best one I have seen so far, as close to being flawless as AI generated. Now, I also don't live in a camp where there is going to be in my lifetime a button to push, and have fed all my art in, and it generates without, with the same amount of detail and editing. That's where I think that's actually the thing that excites me the most about the future of working with AI, is the ability to edit yourself, and really bring things in out of slop and into, um, a solid story. I just, yeah, I really
like
want
like
people. I really
I don't
want people
I don't
to,
trust,
huh?
like, for me, I don't trust a gatekeeper. if you have, let's say, I mean, they're building a tool right now that takes a comic book and turns it into a half an hour animated,
Yeah, but not at the
feature.
press of
Saturday morning.
not at the press of a button. That's not true. That's not true.
Well, there's always editing, but
There's
yeah,
a lot
but
more editing.
let's say that even
I think you're glazing over um, the truth of what it really takes to make something. Not AI or not. There's a lot of craft and self-understanding that has to come with making something. And AI is not self-understanding. And I don't think we're ever going to be in that sentient, Mr. Magoo AI making all of our entertainment for us. I just don't subscribe to it.
Okay, well, let me share then what I've seen already so far. And for me, what I'm thinking about 50 years from now, it's not hard for me to
Dude, I'll be
imagine
dead.
that they'll be able.
I'll be dead.
Right, right. But I'm not talking about like me. I'm talking about the world and history and everything. And um, I saw recently. This popped up in my feed. I might have even spoken about it, but in my YouTube feed, it was we compared the two AIs into making a comic book, right? And they're going to compare ChatGPT
Oh
versus
yeah. I
Gemini,
seen. I've seen it. I've seen it.
right? And it's funny because as soon as you see the person talking, it's like an Asian girl who's
Yeah,
presenting the
she's
whole thing.
AI.
Yeah, she's not real.
She's AI.
Yeah, she's not real. Right.
That's
So
such a. Oh my god,
right.
it's so funny.
So that tells me like this is somebody like some fat guy in his underwear, that's
Man,
trying to
you're
get
harsh.
clicks and views,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry.
And yeah, so yeah, that thing you're doing right there, you can make that a blend. You don't have to color the whole thing flat. You blend it into the dark to the light. Anyway, so they compared it and they definitely made a complete comic book. And it was just a couple of, it was
It was
buttons.
horrendous.
You're just hitting
It was
buttons.
it was
Um,
horrendous.
well,
Good.
there's 2 different ones, right, and the point wasn't like, you could do the same thing they did, but you could actually take a good human script, and so then it will be,
Ah,
that much better, and, because they used a ChatGPT generated script, but, I was like, "Well, why would you" that was my first reaction, "Well,
yeah,
why the hell would you do that?"
yeah.
You know? And they also didn't, like, play around with the script, they just took it and they were like, she goes, "Oh, it generated a script," and the script was great. Like who gets a script like in the first shot, right? That's barely even usable. Like, forget it. But it just goes to show like where we're at, and so we're there right now with 2D comics, and making those into motion comics is next, and then making them into movies is next, and all that, and my big fear, as I say, is that there's going to be a gatekeeper, and they're going to say, "All right, we have this tool. We have it internally at Disney. We have it internally at DreamWorks. We have this tool. It's doing all this stuff. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing, come out now on Netflix and everything." Especially like children's animation and stuff is probably very, very AI assisted, if not like majority AI. But it's going to get better, and it's going to get better. So why wouldn't the owner of that technology say, "I'm not going to let every swinging John that comes along use this. I'm going to charge, like, I'm saving them like 3 months worth of labor here. I'm going to charge them for it." And so the only people that can get their hands on it are going to be people that pay incredible premiums. And why would they give this away if this is the key to their entertainment empire? And Disney's just cranking out, oh, one day we'll do Goofy, next day we'll do Snow White, next day, they, how many characters they have? They own Marvel, they own the Muppets, they own everything, Winnie the Pooh, like all these franchises. So they're just going to continue to use their internal tools and not let anybody else get their hands on it, like you and me, or anybody else. And that's my fear, is that they're going to gatekeep the whole thing and rent seek, anybody that wants to use these new technological marvels, and that there's no open source, and that there's not going to be any benevolent programmers that are just going to post it online for everybody to use. End of rant.
Oh, okay.
Rant over.
All right. Yeah, I
So,
disagree with you. I disagree with you in your tone.
Mister, I don't like your tone, Mister.
Yeah, I think you're a little negative on. No, I'm just kidding. I agree, Jake. I agree. I agree. It's the one thing I think you and I can absolutely agree on, is that if we're not allowed access in an affordable way, that's really going to be the collapse of let's say creative entertainment. I mean, there's going to be shit tons of entertainment, but then it's going to be so kept by, I don't know, maybe this is going to be what art schools turn into. It's basically, you know, Disney
AI lab.
supported AI manipulating training, but even on an NDA contractual, you'll never share this with anybody in the world because you're doing it for us. And then, it's just, I think so many things are going to change. That's the real exhausting brain matter that goes on in my head. And only because I'd like to be a little bit with it, but I'm not. I'm old. I'm getting older. But I just don't want to miss out on things that tool wise can get me, closer to something better, as I'm getting better, with what I'm making and how I'm making. So we'll keep everybody
Yeah,
posted
and
on
I'm
it, I think.
yeah. I mean, I'd love to maybe hear from somebody that works in an industry. But I mean, we spoke about Lucasfilms, and they developed this engineering, to be able to make special effects in a completely different way. Changed everything,
Yeah.
right? Basically,
Industrial light
the move
magic.
towards digital. Right, the move towards digital, and they did not. Now they kept the best for themselves, right? They have these great, Star Wars trilogies and everything,
Prequels. Yeah,
and
the
so they
prequels were
kept the
so
best for
awesome.
themselves. But they also sold the technology to their rivals and competitors and anybody that wanted to pay. Right? They didn't necessarily give it away for free. I mean, there was a consumer version called Photoshop that eventually came out that was based on, the conversion software. But I don't know if there's going to be the same type of thing in the future where there's a product that's available to all, comes out, that's going to be something like what we're talking about. Like, I think the holy grail is like, give it a script, animate it in this style, right? And here's my human script, so it's a good script, and it's got like characters that people really care about and all that, and yet the AI will use all of this experience and modeling to be able to envision, bring it to light, bring it to reality. um I'm not holding my breath, because the people that own AI have a lot of money due to their investors, and it's a lot. It's more money that can ever be repaid, which is which means there's gonna be a time when they're facing down the barrel of foreclosure on everything. Um, and they're talking about the bust that's gonna come. Um, I don't know. I don't know, some people are saying there might not be a bust, some people they say it might be gradual, but um, just the idea of AI is so overinvested right now because they're doing so many different things with AI that do not relate to art or animation, but there's just a bill coming due because the machines that they're building and the data centers that they're building is unprecedented. They've never, the amount of billions, like $500 billion being invested in something. I mean, that rivals only the highway system. Like even the entire NASA space system didn't cost anywhere near that. So, um, what's going like the investment that's being made
So
right now in data centers.
right. So the channel though for Wood Nuts is Goblin Gossip or Gossip Goblin or something to that extent. But two more things I just don't want to go without mentioning. The other thing is do you watch Ink Pulps, the YouTube channel?
Nope.
Okay, you're gonna want to watch Kezra Gombri's interview. He's the kind of like the one half or maybe the lead in CAF Comic Art Fan and also IC3. Um, I'm a very emotional person because I am an artist. I'm trying to say that without laughing, but it was a very emotional delivery once again, and a bit more refined than the secret Zoom meeting that we had, Jake. And because things have been really formulating, but comicsartfan.com and IC3 coming this year, and OAX, by the way. OAX. He almost had me buying tickets and getting a plane flight and a hotel room by the end of this interview with Mateo and Sean. But a really good video interview with Kazra about a vision of consolidating our our part of the industry as it is indie comics. And it got me like super excited. So please check it out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to send you that in.
Yeah, I'm looking for a better explanation. I don't think you just did justice.
No,
So
I
what
never do.
exactly
No, I never do.
well
What?
just
I don't want to paraphrase
take
him.
it back
I
from the
don't want to
beginning.
paraphrase him.
What are they doing or showing or saying?
It's an
Just
interview.
just restate it for me. What
It's an
an
interview, and
interview about
Kazra is talking about OAX and IC3, but also the insertion of indie comics or IC3, like the kiosking in other shows like OAX, the Original Art Expo. Um, Great explanation about what happened the years prior and how it's kind of led them in their direction. But yeah, it's good stuff. Like the way he thinks or they think and the way they're putting things together. Oh, the Kirby Awards, that's also another really cool thing. But it's just, you know, the feeling is that things are starting to form around us in the indie comics industry. We just need to be more connected to it and not so much like hermits in our little hobbit holes making our comics. So I just really I want to send that out to as somebody people going out. I'm trying to find it right now on fucking.
Hey Kurt, you have a background that's all just like a ruddy textured background, right? That I can drop behind all this at the end, right?
Yeah. I'll send you. I'll send you a better one.
Okay. Great. All right. I'm going to close this for now and then move on to this other page. But
There it is.
it's going to be
So
okay.
here it is. I'm gonna send this to you.
Um, did you try? I'm looking at page 4. Did you try printing this out and seeing how it prints? It looks like it's coming in dark.
What's his name? What is
See
it?
page
Oh yeah, I
4.
just worked on that today. Yeah, I mean you're talking about the values and stuff. Yeah, I actually worked on that whole.
Yeah, the
See how different
whole
that
thing
is.
looks like it's coming in
Yeah,
super
because it's
dark.
just like I said, it's
Should I,
I'm figuring things out. My biggest struggle in the most positive way is to not. I do not want to smother out um, Alex's design, basically the page does. I want to, and not only embellish it but finish it, but also kind of bring some different, you know, a different feeling to it. But I'm really happy with this at this point. But I think as things go along, there'll still be some things touching up. But you can even see how much work I did on the head exploding.
I did. I saw you made that
Right.
really dark too. So I'm
Yep.
going to, um,
But you're just using the
you know,
page to once again cut out the and spread, to reformat the page size.
right. But this is the final art that's going to print.
No, it's not. That isn't.
When am I getting the final art?
When it's done. I have told you that I am not a one and done page and move on guy. I work in stages over the entire page count, and by the time I get to the page 11 completion, I'm going to want to bring whatever I brought up back into those other pages, and you will get final scans. You're supposed to be just building actively the template pages with the text blocks positioned and the pages being, because we got 11 by 14 to 11 by 17.
Whoa. Okay. I already flattened the first 2 pages.
Well, you shouldn't have, because we've had this conversation for 2 weeks now.
I thought that was the first set you gave me, and that this was because it says final scan on it.
I apologize for
And
doing that. I apologize. That's just a little. That's kind of like a joke to me when I'm doing this. So I will. And as a matter of fact, today I was looking at it, going, maybe probably should rename this. But this is not. These pages, as I'm making them and kind of moving to the next ones, they're not final yet. I just don't work that way, Jake, and I don't ever want to work that way.
I shouldn't be doing any of this. I don't want to be doing any of this until it's final, because I'm just.
You still got to make the templates. We still agreed. We still agreed for you to make the templates.
The word balloons. Yeah, the word balloons are already all in based on the line art
all 11 pages.
That looked like that we did at this stage.
All 11 pages.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, then I mean, if you don't want to keep pushing what I'm doing as I'm making it, then yeah, hold off until everything's actually done, and you could go back to working on Turbo.
Well, seriously, I could do the Ken Landgraf.
Oh, that's not done.
I'll go back to the Ken Landgraf.
Yeah, go back to the Ken Landgraf.
Right. Yeah. When you give me this, because to me this seems overdone. Like, what are you still gonna do on this?
So my approach right now is to create a gray value system, like a medium, basically 20% to 80%, like gray value. It's basically thing. Then I take black pens and white pens and then basically do exactly what I did here and make then decisions of what's important and what's not. Pushing things then back blacker and bringing things highlight back as white. And for like this page alone, is pretty much like 95% finished. It has everything in the way of the feeling that I want to see in that. Now, and then what happens is that the page then turns to black on white paper print. So this all gets smashed down into that old school 80s, pages being printed, offset black plate on the white, well, not white, but the newsprint shitty quality paper. Distress look is what my style is about. I have no interest. I have no interest in making things look glitzy like they are right now. I have no interest.
Well, to me, the page that you just sent right there, it looks pretty done. I can't imagine you spending more time going over it and over it, because it looks like there's 100%,
No, it's not going over and over it.
value.
It's not that. It's actually bringing it all up in my mind to what I want to be said in the finished pages. I'm just not swinging myself around on these things, I'm not doing the work. Like, I'm not being paid to do the work as like some sort of, gunslinger mercenary for hire. I literally have things I want to accomplish as a creative person.
You could absolutely do whatever you want creatively.
Yeah.
But I'm commenting that page looks pretty good, and
the one I just showed you, the one I showed you.
Well, you sent it to me this morning.
No, it's not the same page. It's not the same page, Jake. What I scanned to you is before what I actually worked on today. 2 different pages.
It's called the Duke Final Scan 4.
Yeah, but it's not, and I do apologize for that.
Right, because I thought you were giving this to me to finish up and move on, right?
No, we had the conversation. We had the conversation last week, and as a matter of fact, there's a clip I clipped out, and I posted it on Substack to remind people that at 10 o'clock we're going live. That actually has that same communique in it.
So you're gonna go back on this and just add some more stuff.
If it's needed. The whole 11 pages need to work as one. That's what I do, is I make it all work as one suite of drawings. I'm just not a hired gun making a comic book. I don't do that anymore.
Here's where the miscommunication came in. For the last 2 weeks, I've been getting these scans from you and putting the word balloons around it and moving them all around to fit the page conversion, and then flattening it. And I did that for pages 1 and 2 last week, and I was going to do 3 and 4 this week, and I spent all of today doing just that. And I was not aware that there was going to be another version coming in the wrong format.
And then the me mistakenly naming the file final is my fault, and I do apologize for that.
Okay, so I'm just going to put all this whole project on pause and open Ken Landgraf.
Cool.
So yeah, whenever it's done, you send it to me, and I will position the final panels in place, which is a lot of work, as you can see I've been doing the last week and a half, and getting the values of the gray scales in the word balloons and the lettering itself, and then fitting in the sound effects, to kind of match the background.
Which you've already done that one. You've done that one pass, right?
Well, I finished page 1 complete. I thought this was it, done right here.
Because no. I'm going back. Okay, I don't want to belabor this because we've already done this once before. Is you're supposed to be just making templates. That's all you're supposed to make. That was it.
Yeah,
and I was going to ink these pages.
I sent you all those templates. The text is.
No, I have not received. I have not received any of those. I have only received page 2 and 3. That's it. So I've been under the notion that you're still working on page. Like, that's why I sent you page, I guess, 4 and 5. 4 and 5.
It was before the holidays. I laid out all the word balloons, and I moved all the line art around to see how it's actually going to fit in. And
but I've not received any of those pages. I haven't received any of that stuff. So once again, miscommunication on both sides, because I had totally thought that you were just still doing the template, basically the resizing of the pages and the adding in the text and special effects, to then wait for my final pages, which I then made the mistake of actually calling the page that I sent to you final.
Right, because I've been making EPSs. and this was on December 21st. I made the last EPS.
But you
That
haven't
the
sent any of
EPS
them to
is
me,
all
Jake. You haven't sent those to me, Jake.
because I thought I'm putting the word balloons on.
Okay.
So do you want me to send you all the EPSs and you put the word balloons on?
No.
No, because I've been actually changing some of the dialogue as we go. Yeah, so I've had this since December 21st. The page 11 was done, all the word balloons were placed, and I was just waiting for the final line art to finalize the pages, fit everything in, tweak it all, match the grays, do everything that's needed to just go to print. So, do you want me to send you all the EPSs of all the word balloons? I don't see how that's going to do anything for you because you're in a different page size format.
I was going to do then. I was going to scan and then cut the pages appropriately, send them as PSD files, so then you could go from there. But yeah, I think at this point, Jake, it really just behooves us to wait for me to get completed with the ink pages, and then you return to everything. Totally so that's it. That's it. There's totally no more discussion.
Yeah, because we already cut everything apart here on like a preview version. And so when you give me the final things, I'll cut it all apart again, place them all again, and then finalize everything with all the gray values with the word balloons, flatten it, and then move on.
Sure.
So, all right, so we'll wait for that to be done. So this is cool. I'm going to go back to the other story, which I'm very excited about, which is Ken Landgraf, The Casualties. Because I haven't even seen all the art yet. I haven't even looked at it. I don't think. Here's Ken Landgraf, high res. Before lettering goes on. All right, so I have all the EPSs for all the pages. And I think we have 3 pages finalized already.
Something like that. Because we jumped from them. And just so everybody, you're not with us every Sunday, but Jake got halfway through the Ken Landgraf 6-pager, and then the pages started showing up in the mail from Alex, and that got us excited. Me particularly, because I have to get going on the inking. And the issue immediately came across that the size ratio to the other pages, which were all 11 by 17, we needed to start basically planning and creating templates. And I suggested, why don't you I'll scan what Alex has, you have those pages, and then you could start busting them up and then giving me an idea of what you're going to bust up and then cover with word balloons and narration boxes. It's just, because this is our first time we're ever trying any of this, which is pretty damn exciting. But
we're working through our workflow for sure. And
for this project, I don't even want, the frustration I have right now is I don't want you walking away thinking this is the way we work all the time. Because the way we work with the way Turbo Pit Fighters pages work is a whole nother world of in my mind. Like I enter a whole nother place when I ink those pages. I'm not inking these pages like I ink the Turbo pages or my Crom pages. I don't want to work that way anymore. I'm tired of being a manufacturing art making fool to just put these things out there. I really want to investigate all the things, especially like this. I want to make stuff that has this. I would even go as far as saying a fine arts edge and approach. I mean, like, this is actually one of my favorite pages, which Simon Beasley actually said in the breakdown on the 2000 AD video, where he talks about these pages. This page is actually how a page starts, right? But he was so far behind, he just slipped it in and they loved it, and it went that way. But this actually is the secret to how he designs. And the thing too is, I don't believe this is one page of art. I believe these are all small panels, which is also starting to get me to start thinking about my approach to making comics. So I know you very well, Jake, and you're an eminent professional in the way of, like, we're making a product. This is a comic book is, something to be out there and get our money back and everything. But one of the alignments that we have to kind of constantly check in with one another is approach. I don't want you to think we're on the same page when you make statements like, oh, well, we're just going to do this, and then boom, Bob's your uncle, and it's done. It's tough. It's tough for me because I think there's always opportunity until you have to get it, out the door. And right now we're just not in that place.
I don't mind you working the page until you're happy. That's not it. And the only thing that I was frustrated at was that I thought I was supposed to be finalizing these things right now.
Yeah.
It's okay. I moved back to the casualties, and there's plenty of work to do here. And I also have the cover to colorize, and we have to do the zine pages. So I'm excited to be able to move on to something else. And then when you have the final art done, I'm gonna bring it in and put it behind the word balloons and make everything fit and flat.
Right. That sounds like the plan.
Yeah, and yeah, just for the future, there's no need, like, if I have the line art, and I just kind of like was able to put together the word balloons, and make the EPSs, that's all we need. We don't need to do any intermediate thing where you're giving me 80% art done, and then I tweak everything and move it all together and then get 100% later. No, let's just get the 100%.
We can definitely agree on that. So from here on out, my final pages are scanned and given to you, and then you commit to completing them. The only thing that we've run up against, and God forbid if Matt's still in the chat here, is you have an extraordinary amount of passion committed to getting the lettering right and the story right. So you could end up with 6 months. 6 weeks to a couple months of just that editing process. I was pushing you probably a little too hard and fast in order to get a lot of that done with the prepping of seeing the pages as they're kind of being worked on. That was kind of the idea I had. It was actually specifically the idea, not even kind of. And so you were going to be able to work. And it's like I said, this is totally wrong of me to do, is to just completely subject you to some sort of like, oh, well, Jake can just get as much of the anal retentiveness of lettering these pages out maybe ahead of time. And then once my art's finalized and you have it, you can kind of go, oh yeah, I'll just do this. Wham, bam, thank you, man.
Yeah,
and then get out.
Right. I agree. I totally agree with that. But the thing is, I had that done in late December.
Right.
So just sending me an intermediately finished thing was kind of where we lost communication, because I thought I was finalizing. So.
I agree.
All right, because the pages look pretty final to me, and the other just like reminder I wanted to give you in case you weren't like looking outside yourself is there, because I do it sometimes too, something's done and then you go back in and you put more and more and more and more and more and more on, and maybe it was okay how it was. So there's just the the eternal question, when is something finished? It could be never finished, or it could be finished early, so it all depends. And the pages that you sent me today look like there's a lot of value on there, a lot on the page, and a lot of gray, and a lot of tone and everything. So I get it now. You're going to look at it with a a different eye and tweak it at all and everything. But you know, that big splash panel, I think that was the extra page that was thrown in. It looked good to me. It looked great how how it was. So
Thank you.
all right. So the Ken Landgraf 6-pager. I'm looking by date. The last time I messed with any of this was November 2nd. And one thing I have to make sure I do is check my dates to make sure my date's good. Right, my date and time are accurate. So on November 2nd, I worked on page 1 and I created a JPEG. And I think this is finished. I think page 1 is completely finished. And I'm looking at it now and it looks pretty done, yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna have to print these because I'm looking at the word balloons and sometimes it's a little dark on my screen, but it's lighter in real life. I mean, it kind of depends on the printer. When I take my posters to Staples to get them printed, they could be darker or lighter depending on the day. So I usually bracket it and I make like 3 versions to bring over there, you know, darker and lighter. Because I'm just shooting in the wind here on
What's
this
the
white
file
MacBook.
format?
I don't know what.
What's the file format that you bring
I,
with you?
I do uncompressed JPEGs. At the end of the day, uncompressed JPEG. Yeah.
You should do PSD. You should do PDF files. I've been really playing with the pre-flight check, and establishing a CMY color base for printing, and also a black plate. So now that's the one that I really loved, because Crom Anthology #1 is all black plate, and I love the way, because, you know, once again, this is how I'm working for an end result. Is all of this work ends up just getting flat black. It doesn't matter, but it all has to be translated into not only a gray value, but a texture. And so, like, I love what's coming out of here. But now that I see these pages, I have questions like, what would happen if blah, blah, blah. In other words, let me just bring this as an example, because this is just my running thing. This is not the art for me. When I'm working on this is not me working on art. This is the art. That's just the way I work. But the you know, here's a really good example or sample that I worked on, where there's actually a Ken Landgraf screen type of thing that I had printed out ahead of time, and then inked, and just started playing around with, once again, and I just love the way this came out. But I have to stress, having the PDF file pre-flighted and for pre-press, and then being able to make sure that the let's say JPEG, if you will, inside the PDF then gets converted to a black plate with the right gradation in that I don't know how you would say it. I don't know technically what it would be called. Just like the gradation in the way it transforms to that PDF then being used to print on a thing. I've found an uncompressed PDF is a squirrely and wild thing. So
I always thought I don't know exactly what I'm talking about right now, but I always thought a PDF with a JPEG inside is no different from a JPEG. It's just
two different
showing
things.
where the JPEG starts and ends.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends on the printer, because PostScript is a universal language for printers.
Right.
That's what PDF stands for, PostScript uh, definition file or something. And some printers only take that format because they convert it differently. I think it all depends, and you have to oven temperatures may vary, as they say.
Yeah, the way I got
There's
to all
nothing like.
this is because I was having some randomizing print issues through Lulu, and God bless them, they came back to me with a email, video, and redid my file, my PDF file, so then I could actually go in and see it in Adobe Acrobat, and then like I said, then they gave me a complete layout of the process, which is not that in depth. I mean, there's a lot of technical jargon. That's why I'm stumbling over like what to call things and how things work. So if anybody's like, Kurt, tell us how that, and then like I don't know if there was a video. That might have been some. Oh no, that was Amazon. Amazon gave me a video about something else. But yes, the getting into the pre-flight check in Adobe Acrobat, and then going into the settings, and then kind of like you can even adjust the settings, advanced settings and it was a game changer, because now I'm getting the effect I want out of the work I'm making here on these pages being pushed out into the print of the book.
Yep. PostScript. I mean, high res JPEG. I think it's exactly the same as any other format. TIFF, EPS. I mean, TIFF or pixel based, as long as it doesn't have any compression. But
yeah, but
the
aren't you
resolution's
complaining
more.
about Kinko's not giving you like a consistent print based on what you're doing on your side of the program, and then saving it as just the JPEG? Like when I've gone to Kinko's and my buddy Albert was printing the first teaser, he was weary because I had not performed. But when I told him, because he's a comic book guy, I was like, yeah, I want that old 80s one black plate on shitty newsprint. And he's like, oh, no. I get you. I can do that with your file. I can do that. So he was probably doing exactly what Lulu was trying to do. And then Lulu finally keyed me in on it. But I was not bringing him PDF.
Well, yeah, if you go into a
JPEG.
Kinko's now, and then you go to a Kinko's a month later, they might have the machine set differently. They might have different paper. They might have different ink toner, whatever. So the best thing to do is just to be in a closed loop and say, okay, I'm going to go to Kinko's. I'm going to get a test print. Then I'm going to go home and I'm going to adjust it on my computer blindly, knowing that I'm going to go back to Kinko's and compensate for whatever I'm seeing. So if it has to be darker, if I'm losing the reds or the blues or the greens, whatever, that's your closed loop. And then you don't want to go to Kinko's like a month later. You want to make sure that you're going, where they have all the same setup. So that's all I've been doing. And when I go make a poster, it's usually just like one trip. I just adjust it, bring it back. But you could also bring bracketed files. So sometimes I'll go and I'll be like new poster 1, new poster 2, new poster 3. They'll all be, one will be lighter, one will be medium, one will be darker. And then you get a print of each while you're there, and then you say, okay, let's duplicate. Give me 20 copies of this one because it's the best one. But you do have to sometimes go back home, right? And then I've even brought my laptop to Kinko's too, to be able to do it right there on the spot. So that's what the term closed loop that I'm referring to is. As long as you're in a closed loop with your printer, whether the printer is a machine or a person, you should be able to compensate whatever happens. You should be able to compensate and then adjust. So that's what we're doing here. So this I have all the EPSs, and this is all hand lettered. This is all your hand lettering that I just kind of like refined.
Yeah.
And so when we started the Alex project, it took us a little while spinning our wheels because I created a whole font from scratch.
Right. Hey, Jake,
point.
Just to give you a time check, we are at the 1 o'clock hour, which roughly brings us at 3 hours. We can start closing down this episode. And get ready for next week. But I just want to say that I am on, I've pushed out to page 7. I'm just going to show off kind of all the pages as they are right now. So these will all be returned to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we're coming along. It's 11 pager. I see no reason why I can't have basically what I've gotten like these pages up to by the end of the month. 6 more hours, 2 more 3-hour sessions should get me all the way out to 11. So beginning of February is what I would anticipate handing you all the scanned pages final, a true final page. So I bring that up. I bring that up to say, if you in the next 2 weeks can foresee yourself getting done with Ken Landgraf's pages, then I would be returning to inking Turbo pages. So just so everybody knows where we're at.
Well,
yeah.
Wow, that's
because I don't have any other. I don't have any other responsibilities for Doom Magazine. You do. You have all.
No, I guess the rest is on me. I got to do the zine pages.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's all fine. I love doing that shit.
That she's but I just want to give everybody a hearty hello and thank you so far for the support on Crom Anthology. If you haven't seen through my social media or you haven't been to Crom and cromthebarbarian.com, I am officially launched in the open call for collaboration and contributions. Slots are filling up, but it's kind of dangerous for me to say that there's going to be a set amount of slots. I have in my head kind of what I would like to be dealing with in the way of a page count, but I have given everybody till the end of February to get first draft roughs in as placeholders, because then I will put together a mock-up like I did last time, which will also be for sale. So this is an exciting thing for any of those that are out there and listening. I have sent out all the emails to all the individuals that have been associated with Crom Anthology #1 to give them the heads up. But I've also been getting people rolling in through social media. I will next week actually start getting back on my YouTube channel for Crom the Barbarian and giving more updates and answering questions if they come along. But I am so excited. As I said, Ryan Dirks has already submitted his 10-pager. It's a Zolak Stone Walker. It's right in the same sword and sorcery, Crom-centric, black and white. He did have as a matter of fact, you mentioned it. He has a pin up in here to give you a taste of what Ryan delivers in the way of art. Amazing. So, so that is rolled in. I have already started working on the sketches, the layout for Crom Daring. But I'm still waiting to hear back on people. Beginning of February, it looks like I will be reaching out to Ken Landgraf to get some pages done for the second part of Crumb and Gervanis. I got another gentleman by the name of Matt Boyd who has done pencil roughs of a free comic book script that Steven Sonnefeld had wrote and is free on cromthebarbarian.com. Crom and the Wheel of Time. Stephen had given him a page and a half of notes, so he'll be going back and working on that. Met with Rick Frayne for the second Spawn of Afgorkin photo comic. We have some challenges, so we're being creative and figuring things out. Yep, here we go. So looking forward to that. So if you are into Sword and Sorcery, you would like to make some contribution. The one thing I want to say, the two things actually. First thing is that I'm not going to be pin-up heavy, just so everybody knows. I'm not going to be continuing with this double page artist gallery thing. It's more comic than pin-up. And I'm also going to stay under 200 pages for Crom Anthology 2 and moving forward. And the second part of it is going to be curating. So this book, 2 stories did not get in because they just didn't fit. Because I have a general way I want to see things kind of feel. I'm reconstructing the feeling of what it was like when I was young with Savage Sword of Conan comics magazine and Heavy Metal magazine, where everything was, let's say broken in pieces, but it all flowed together. And that's what I'm going after. So copies are still up for sale right now. They are still, they're now back at their retail price, which is $35. Shipping is very reasonable because it comes through lulu.com. So please make sure that you get your copy and enjoy the ride. But it's going to be giving more updates and showing things off here, and as well at my cromthebarbarian.com and my Crom the Barbarian YouTube channel. So, but that's all I got, Jake. We can let these people get back to reading comics, making them if they choose.
Yeah, and if you're a comic creator of any type and you want to talk about a collab for sci-fi rather than Sword and Sorcery, we have a couple of 6-pagers available for our sci-fi. And then we also created a 6-pager custom for Alex Turbin, on demand. So if you're interested in browsing the End of the World timeline that Turbo lives in, check out hellclaw.com/comics. And there's a whole bunch of bullet points there for a lot of different properties. If you're interested in our other episodes, go to our YouTube landing page. And Making Turbo Pit Fighter goes live every Sunday at 10 a.m. approximately, sometimes a couple minutes after. We have creator interviews archived at our Indie Creator Exchange tab, and we also have flip throughs of great comics and discussion on our Comics That Influence tab. Other than that, we will see you guys next Sunday, same bat channel.
See you next Sunday, Jake.